Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Wood Elves, going to be taking on Bretonnia, hence the trees in the woods here. And yeah, fairly standard treeman build. If you've seen one of my videos before featuring this build recently, then it's pretty much the same here. Ancient treemen with Dwellers Below, Earthblood, and Awakening of the Wood. We've got Firebark Elders, Treekin, front line of Eternal Guards with Shields, Winterheart Guard, back line with the Loix Tricksters, Wardens of Kithral, another treeman, and a single Hagbane tip with the Sisters of Thorn as well. For the Bretonnians, we've got Lord on foot with a Heaven's Damsel and a very wide front line with plenty of battle pilgrims, foot squires, peasant bowmen with pox arrows, and plenty of cav. We've got defenders of Fleur-de-Lis, more Knights of the Realm, Knights of the Lion-Hearted, Knights Errant, lots and lots of cav and lots of numbers. I think that's what my opponent's mainly going for here. It's also got some mounted yeomen over in the corner there. That's pretty much it. So yeah, more mounted yeomen. But yeah, I'm going to be trying out my tree build here once again, trying to take on a Bretonnian player who's brought a lot of cavalry and plenty of frontline units as well. Gone very cheap on the heroic presence. Not a lot of armor piercing outside of these foot squires, but I mean the Knights of the Realm do have anti-large. In particular, the Knights of the Lion-Hearted do have magic damage and anti-large, so they will cut through the physical resistance that the tree type units have. You can see my Hagbane tips opening up shots there. These mounted yeomen going to try and come in, but unfortunately do spot the Wardens of Kithral just briefly before they charge in there, which is a little bit unfortunate for me. We've got more mounted yeomen over here. Honestly, I ought to just charge them with the Sisters of Thorn. Could probably do a lot of damage, but unfortunately my opponent does catch me with the charge there, and the Sisters of Thorn definitely want to take advantage of that 30 charge bonus, although they will still win this combat no problem. You can see we are trying to catch these mounted yeomen in the back, see if we can just drag them down and, you know, push them off the side of the battlefield early on, just so that we don't have to deal with them later on. You can see these Sisters of Thorn did drop the Curse of Honor here, and we're also going to drop a Dwellers Below, I believe, just to try and drag down these Knights Errant. It's probably a little bit of an overinvestment in terms of magic here. 700 point Knights Errant is not that much, but again, I'm just trying to deal with my opponent's cavalry as quickly as possible, so I figured I had a little bit of an opportunity here. We're going to go ahead and charge forward and engage the front line here. You can see the tree units running in and following up the elf infantry, looking very, very sweet doing so. And here comes the big papa. Or I guess uncle. This guy's over here is the big papa, but yeah, my opponent does have a Grail Relic, which is in the front line, and I'm going to try and focus it down here as much as possible, see if we can get some terror routes going. But you can see Winterheart Guards are going to get a bit out of position here trying to drag down these Knights Errant, and this is definitely a big mistake because they're going to get rear charged here by Knights of the Realm. Meanwhile, on the back line, these Knights Errant are going to charge the Loix Tricksters straight in the face. This is really unfortunate for me to take this kind of shock damage from a nice cheap unit like the Knights Errant. They are going to be able to get straight through as well because of the loose formation there, so didn't quite have my magic on station to be able to slow these guys down quite enough. But now that they're in the woods, they're getting poisoned, I believe. Yep, they've got a little bit of poison there and some other effects. We should be able to start to drag down quite a few. You can see we're also dispatching some trees to help clog up this back line as well, just so that we can't have cav kind of running shop through this back line area. And an Awakening of the Wood, trying to drag down these Knights Errant once again, just make sure they stay locked in this pocket here. More Knights of the Realm charging in, doing a lot of damage to the Hagbane tips and the Loix Tricksters especially, which is unfortunate. But in the main line, you can see my guys not focusing the Grail Relic like we need to, and in order for us to get a solid terror route in this front line, we really need to get rid of that Grail Relic, and a beautiful Wind Blast from my opponent cutting through a whole bunch of those Eternal Guard there. So honestly, I could probably pull back one of these Eternal Guard and try and operate them in the back line. This is a little bit kind of over-blobbing here. The Wardens of Kithral are also fighting a lot of chaff units, which is, you know, they'll do fine with their good combat stats, but it's still not necessarily super cost effective. when we could be using them against the knights in the back line. So yeah, a little bit of bad positioning by me, but we'll see. Still plenty of battle left and quite even. The defense of the fleur-de-lis now, we've been able to drag down a lot of cavalry, but you can see units just all around still fighting, and even these mounted yeomen coming back and just being annoying, clogging things up, and the Hagbane tips not able to really fire effectively. Loic Strix are still online in the back line though, with 55 models. Despite their very low health, they are able to drag down a few more unit models of cavalry there, but I don't really have any response to these pox arrows, and they're just generating some pretty nice value. Granted, a lot of the shots are being blocked by the woods, but still they're generating some good value shooting at those Loic Strixers in the back line, and you can see that Grail Relic, again, still online, and I'm really not doing a very good job of trying to focus down the Grail Relic. You know, in this situation, I definitely want to be just perpetually pathing these two big tree boys after that Grail Relic and trying to beat it down, because if we can, again, get rid of this, we can drop a mass terror route potentially, but yeah, I'm realizing that I need more mass to stop up the cav in the back line. We're going to dispatch this treeman here, see if we can't terror route some of these knights in this back line area away from the Grail Relic. But there's still one more unit of cav completely healthy here. We've been able to drag down pretty much everything except for these Knights of the Lion-Hearted, who are now going to get activated and come in the late game. And these guys are going to be the backbreaker here. I just unfortunately don't have enough. The tree units are all still relatively healthy, but the infantry is getting very, very thin. And we definitely need that anti-large AP support against those defenders. And they come in, they get a solid charge, and actually do some pretty good damage to the Firebark Elders here, which is not great. I need those Firebark Elders in here just saturating and, you know, kind of soaking hits. They have very good melee defense, and taking a lot of damage on them like this is not great. You can see the Ancient Tree Man, his leadership is a little bit shaky at this point. The Hagbane tips still firing despite everything, trying to drag down those Knights of the Realm, and this treatment in the back here being an MVP, kind of stopping up these Knights and the defenders of the fleur-de-lis. Unfortunately, the Loic Strixers do get charged in the back, but again, the tree men will be able to sort of staff up their unit models a bit and stop them from completely getting run over. And the terror, of course, very key as well. You can see how effective that is there. Unfortunately, my lack of focus in the front line in trying to drag down my opponent's Grail Relic there. I mean, it was pretty much right next to both my trees the whole time for the pickings. I just didn't do a very good job of focusing on it. You can see that has tilted the balance of power in my opponent's favor here. These treekin in the back have managed to rally, so maybe we can try and get some of these Wardens of Kithral and other high-value units back. There are some Eternal Guards rallied here as well, so, you know, not completely out of the woods, no pun intended. But the tree Death Star is still well and good. I mean, the treekin both, well, I say both. One unit over there is not doing great, but the Firebark Elders are still holding. Both the Tree Man and the Tree Man Ancient doing relatively well as well. But the Knights of the Lion-Hearted, very cool stuff. Beautiful cinematic charge into the woods up against the trees. And of course, with the Grail Relic here, they're not going to get terrified, so they're more than happy to just cycle charge this one out. And despite everything, the balance power is starting to creep back. You can see these Knights Errant losing decisively to those treekin. Just don't have the melee attack to get through their high melee defense and armor. The Hagbane tips are going to be rallying as well, so we could potentially apply some late game poison. So, you know, despite everything, we're still not quite finished yet. Just the tree Death Star is super hard to drag down the late game, especially if you don't have a lot of armor piercing. And these Knights of the Lion-Hearted are going to be very, very key. You can see my opponent playing very conservatively with them, which is smart in this situation, because they are the only thing that can really do the damage to these trees at the end of the day. I mean, granted, death by 1,000 cuts is pretty real, but yeah, you can see a lot of these Bretonnian units getting pretty low themselves. All the ammo has been expended on those pox arrows, and you can see my opponent doing a great job catching out this isolated treekin with the Knights of the Lion-Hearted. They are going to drag down what few unit models remain and chase those guys off, so a very nice catch there. And unfortunately, I believe the Firebark Elders also got routed off there, so the Hagbane tips rallying. Firebark Elders may potentially rally as well. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit through this late game here, as my opponent tries to drag down the tree Death Star. Again, just cycle charging with the Knights of Lionhearted, doing exactly what he should. Granted, each time they come in and stay in like this, they are taking a little bit of damage. There are some unbreakable Winterheart Guards too, actually still fighting. And yeah, Firebark Elders did come back from rout and help rout off and actually shatter some of those Knights Errant there, so that's pretty helpful. Now they're just fighting the rocks, making it a bit awkward there. They're fighting these peasant archers, which, you know, this is definitely the battle of battles right here. But despite everything, the Firebark Elders not too happy just because their leadership and unit models and everything are so low. But Treeman Ancient starting to take some hits, and honestly, I think the Bretonnian Lord is actually getting some okay hits on the Treeman Ancient here. So it's tough, you know, it's tough. This point, there's not a lot we can do, and you can see finally I'm focusing the Grail Relic, but too little too late, as I often say, and unfortunately taking down that Grail Relic in this late game situation isn't quite going to bring me back. Granted, a lot of these Bretonnian units are pretty low, but one final charge here potentially may finish it off. I'm not really sure, but Knights of the Lionhearted definitely showing their worth in the late game here. Very key units at dealing with trees, and I definitely like the pick. Especially like how my opponent played with them, just keeping them very conservative, you know, in the back until that late game situation when he had cleaned up a lot of my my supporting anti-large infantry. But you can see here, Knights of the Realm still trying to finish off these Firebark Elders on the side, getting dragged down. Plague Guard with Hagbane Tips still dragging him down. Eternal Guard still fighting. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to the Ancient Treeman in time. You can see he did get routed off here. And the regular Treeman is also going to rout soon, so we'll go ahead and fast forward as this is pretty much all said and done. But still, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Yeah, a few key mistakes by me in not focusing that Grail Relic and just getting out of position with a few different units. My opponent doing a very good job in punishing me for those mistakes. I definitely feel like with that build I could have won there if I had not made those mistakes, but credit to my opponent for playing as well as he did. Definitely played almost flawlessly, and like I said, punished me for some of my mistakes quite well. And you can see there the Knights of the Realm in particular, one of them 74 kills, ended up getting dragged down, but got a lot of value done, especially against those Loex Tricksters. And in the late game, Knights Lionhearted cycle charging the trees to death was very key. Speaking of trees, 83 kills on these guys, 36, 72 on the Firebark Elders, not bad at all, and 140 for the Treeman. I mean, you would expect these guys to mop up a lot of peasants, and they did. 134 for the Wardens of Kithral. Again, good kill total, but not necessarily what you want them to be fighting per se. 71 on the Loex Tricksters. They did end up getting a lot of cavalry kills, but still, you know, ended up taking some unnecessary charges there. Glade Guards, unfortunately, weren't really able to be the control tool that I needed them to be, and Sisters of Thorn sacrificed a little bit early on. Could have used them a little bit later in the battle, but like I said, credit to my opponent for playing very well there. His peasants pretty well all across the board, especially like these Battle Pilgrims, 60 kills on them, not bad at all. Didn't quite catch, besides the Wind Blast, what that Damsel Heavens, the Heavens Damsel was doing, but I'd imagine she was throwing out like some harmonic convergences and stuff on these Battle Pilgrims, which is very cost effective. The Peasant Bowmen didn't end up getting a lot of kills considering they expended all their ammo, but applying that perpetual poison is always nice as well. And yeah, overall just very solid Bretonnian play from my opponent, and a pretty solid build overall. I quite like this kind of super wide yet semi-elite infantry, very potent against the Wood Elves, I have to say. And generally this is a pretty tough matchup for the Wood Elves, but felt like this tree build definitely is one way to go that can do quite well against Bretonnia. And again, if I hadn't made a few key mistakes there, I feel like I still could have won that, but overall, very fun battle, well played to my opponent. I hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.